sending him invite
Okay.
and seeing if he's getting or not. Okay. Swamiji, so I'm sending you an invite right now. I sent you two, three invite right now. Are you seeing the invite? Oh, okay. Uh, yeah, can I? Okay, I'll send you again. So I sent you one more invite right now.
One.
Okay. Uh, Swamiji, so you have any other Hangout open? Okay. Okay, invite has come. Okay. Yeah, you. Yeah, I think you are joining the call now. So I'm just sending the invite to uh, Pooja and everyone also. There will be
Puja is on.
Pooja is there.
Yeah.
Hari.
Hari said he will watch on YouTube.
Okay. Yes, Maharaj. So we are also we are also there on that.
You can see me now.
Yeah.
Okay then, sir.
Pranam Maharaj.
Namaste. Om Namah Shivaya.
So yes, Maharaj. So we are already live on YouTube. Hari and everyone is watching from Pittsburgh also.
I see.
Uh,
Okay.
Shivateja, are we waiting for something?
No. Hari, I'm in touch with Hari on this. Hari said he will watch on YouTube, so I think we can start.
Okay.
Ah,
Okay, Maharaj. So I saw your email little late today. So we
okay.
read the first three chapters, Maharaj.
I see. So now you tell me what you have read or what points do you want to clarify?
Yes, Maharaj. So one of us, yeah, we have a question.
Pranam Maharaj. My name is Shishikar. I actually missed your last Skype session. Uh, I have a question, Maharaj, so I want to get that clarified if you don't mind. So I was actually practicing some meditation, but it's not from any source or like any training or anything. I just sit with my eyes closed. So I was observing that involuntarily I start bending forward or sideways sometimes. So can you explain why that happens and whether there is something that I should know about it or anything?
Yeah, exactly. Swamiji also is mentioning that meditation dhyanam comes. So you know there are 8 limbs of Yoga Sutra, yoga, 8 steps. They say yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyanam. So dhyanam comes just before samadhi. And when we start meditating, then we should be sure that we have practiced the earlier limbs properly. Yama niyama, that is the most important criteria for meditation. Asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana. So Swamiji says if we do not practice the earlier ones, then meditation is difficult. And your difficulty is about the posture. So it is necessary that you try to correct the posture or take some exercises or practice sitting and doing pranayama with some help, someone who would be instructing you or guiding you, or at least who would be able to show you how to practice a good posture. Posture is just a mechanical thing. We want to put the weight of the head on proper balance. That will be, as Swamiji says, our ribs should be carrying the weight of the head so that the spinal column remains a little bit free, and therefore we are able to concentrate. So there are other things like yama niyama, that the aspect of physical and mental purity. These things also have to be practiced. Generally, I advise students to sit and then do some deep breathing. That helps us to correct the posture. When the body is bending this way, that way, that shows that the head is not put on the proper balance. Head is the heaviest, and we need to put it on proper balance to concentrate. Yes?
Thank you very much.
Any other thing which came up during your study and discussion?
So I remember about that creating space. Yeah. Maybe we can ask Swamiji to summarize different aspects of what are the basics, how to get, make oneself ready for Yama and the Niyama. Swamiji,
Yeah.
can you talk about, in a sense of summary, about what are the basic, the do's and
About
don'ts, and then how to make oneself prepared for starting a certain practice of meditation or even hatha yoga? So that will be very helpful for us in terms of practical utility.
yeah, that is okay. Meditation. Actually, we are reading a book, and these things will be discussed later in the book itself, exhaustively and very methodically in a structured way. So when we have read the first 3 chapters, we will try to find out what special ideas Swamiji is trying to convey. If today itself I discuss on the ideas of meditation and also the preliminaries to meditation, that would be just telling the same thing, but when we come across those things in the main part of the book, then you will see that these things have been clarified, and that would create more impression and more clarification there. So what I would like to emphasize from these first three chapters, that Swamiji is talking about Raja Yoga as a science. He calls it science of religion. And most of the philosophies in India, the Indian philosophies, they have derived their practical procedures based on Patanjali. Swamiji says they may differ at at a few places, but mainly they borrow ideas from the Yoga Sutras. And the main thing which is taught in the Yoga Sutra is how to achieve or get liberation, and through the process of concentration. That is the main idea behind the study of Yoga Sutra, practicing concentration. As you know, Swamiji has once said that if I have to do my education over again, I would only learn concentration. Yoga Sutra helps us to do that, and the goal and purpose of concentration is to achieve liberation from miseries, liberation from things which keep us tied down to lower things, things which have got impermanent value. So that is the idea. He is talking about one special thing here, which is called mind. And he connects this mind to the idea of prana. He says that prana and akasa, these two things are very important in Sankhya and Yoga philosophies. Therefore, you will see that prana, he has dedicated a whole chapter on prana, and afterwards he speaks of psychic prana. We must understand the idea of prana, and concentration is a part of this pranic process, the vital forces. Now, what he was saying, that is a kind of the idea of knowledge itself, how knowledge happens. This, in technical term, this is called epistemology, science of knowledge. So here mind is the main thing to achieve knowledge. And he says that the difficulty is that when the mind studies itself, then there is a difficulty, because there is the relation of subject and object. This relation is not there. That mind is only one. So Swamiji says, divide the mind into two. One portion of the mind would observe the other portion. So this is a big science, and Swamiji says the Sankhya philosophy, and he ends those paragraphs with the idea of Sankhya psychology or Yoga psychology. Yoga Sutra is the psychology of the Hindu scriptures, actually. So here, the study of how the knowledge happens, study of knowledge or epistemology, he has mentioned in a very summarized way, which he will be taking up, I believe, in the in the explanation of the second aphorism of the Yoga Sutras. He goes deeper or makes it more elaborate. But here the idea, he speaks of 7 items in the process of our knowing things. The first item is the object which is outside, and the second item is the instruments which are called the senses, external sense organs. Like I am looking at a pen, the pen is the object, and I am looking at the pen with the help of my eyes. Eyes are the instruments. So the karana, they say karana in karanam Sanskrit. Karana means they are used, instruments used by someone. Now here, up to the outward senses, they are all called by senses outside, like chakshu, karna, nashika, jivha, tvak, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and this skin. These things are outside organs, bahikarana. Then antakarana that is the study we have to do in the Yoga Sutra. That is the idea of psychology. And first we have to study how it actually works or how the mind operates. So he puts this idea into two very important facts which happens, that we get some stimulus from outside, that creates an action, and that action produces a reaction. So how this action happens inside the mind when we go inside, not outside, not with the object, not with the outward senses, how we go inside the mind. So if we go structurally, then the first thing is that the number one is the object which is outside. Number two, the eyes, suppose, which is looking at the object. Number three, then these impressions are supplied to the sense organs. They call brain centers. They are called sense organs. So optic nerves carry these ideas to the brain center, which is the main sense organ of seeing. And number four is that these impressions are created and received, but they are not being registered sometimes. Suppose I am reading a book. The book is open and I know that I am reading each and every word. But after reading one page, when I look back, I have not understood anything. I have not read anything. Because during this reading, my mind was not connected with the eyes or with the reading. It was connected with some thought, or maybe it was connected with some sound which is coming from the next house or next room, somewhere. So my mind is connected to that organ, suppose to the ear organ. Therefore, though I am reading here, my books are open, my eyes are fixed on the books, but I am not reading anything. So mind is the main thing which should take the impressions, and then it carries, Swamiji says, this is the fourth one, mind, which carries the impression to the fifth one, which is called intellect, the deciding faculty. Now this impression has been carried to the mind, to the intellect. Intellect has to decide on the reaction. And Swamiji makes a profound statement here, which is not available in any other books on psychology, that Swamiji invokes the idea of egoism. He says, in the process, in this reaction, there flashes the idea of ego. The idea of egoism, he uses this word. When this impression or the stimulus which we got from outside and the mind carries it to the intellect, then the intellect has to decide on the reaction. Then in the process there flashes the idea of egoism. So ego intervenes. Now this impression should be carried to the Purusha, which is the main thing here, the thing. So, but before that, this ego intervenes. Now, according to the third law of Newton, we know that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. But we see when we react to the inputs which we get from outside, the impulses which we get from outside, we react in different ways. Suppose I am standing and somebody comes and gives me a blow. I look at that person. If that person is a friend, I just smile at him and hug him. At the same time, if I see that no, this person is not a friend, and I know that this person has taken advantage of my goodness many times. Therefore, I think that I should react. Therefore, I react in a different manner. I give two blows and two kicks like that. So, see the reaction. Same type of blow I have got, but I am reacting depending on some kind of guidance from within. So there, in the process, there happens a quick scanning of the hard disk, which retains the data, the impressions which we receive during our lifetime, even from previous life. And in the scanning process, they discover that this is a person who has taken advantage of my goodness before. So I should react. And the scanning shows that this is my friend. Or maybe the child comes to the mother and kicks. What does the mother do? Mother takes the child on her lap. So why should there be this type of reaction, which are not similar? For each and every action, there should be an equal and opposite reaction. But these are not equal reactions. They are opposite reactions. That is why there is a very famous idea that actions do not prove the character of a person, but reactions do. Actions, you can be trained how to say hello, hi, and to be nice to people and to smile at everyone. That we have learned how to behave, how to be polite. But actually who we are, that will be discovered when we react to impulses. Our reactions prove our inside, how much transformation has happened within us, how much culture we have developed within us. That has to be determined by our reaction. The ego plays the most important role, we know. The ego says that this is your enemy. I react that way. The ego says that this is your child. I react in a different way. So, you see the simple idea of each action will be producing the equal and opposite reaction, that does not hold good here. So, very mechanical these things are, but at one point it turns out to be that someone is deciding. It is not a mechanical process. So, the ego appears and it decides who is enemy and who is a friend. Our main purpose of Yoga Sutra is to transform this ego. Sri Ramakrishna tells that when the ego is not transformed, then this raw ego is called kacha ami, raw ego, unripe ego. And when it is transformed, this ego is called ripe ego. So, at this place, then this whole, the mixture of action and reaction, this is produced to the Purusha. Now, Purusha does not decide because of its being the witness of a thing. Now, see, the witness is observing, but it is a witness which is general. Let me give you an example. Suppose I want to move from Berlin to Frankfurt. Now, I am breathing the air in Berlin. So when I am going to Frankfurt, do I carry some air with me to use along the way and then use it in Frankfurt? No, I go. Air is there everywhere. This is the idea of witness. I am within it. So I sleep in it, I snore in it, I eat in it, I pray in it, I walk in it. So this is the idea of witness, the Purusha. It does not do anything, but in its presence everything happens. That is the idea of witness. So Purusha is there to give me life that I can breathe, but it is general for everyone, for you and me. So it cannot be different. Your ego and my ego are but different. So that cannot be Purusha. So this depends on our samskaras, the impressions we have within us. So this is the idea of knowledge, how we know things. And this is the idea of action and reaction. So this is one point Swamiji just discussed in short, which will be taken up later by him in the main book itself, in Yoga Sutra, when he is explaining the sutras. I believe in the second sutra, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, there he explains this. This is Swami Vivekananda's special contribution. Some people have cited this particular sentence that what is ego? Ego has no form, no color, therefore it is very difficult, and no name also to identify it, difficult to know what ego is. So that is one point he is trying to emphasize, and other points are mainly based on the idea of prana. And if you have read this idea, this subject prana properly, then you know it is in the scientific term we can understand it so clearly, but it is not that clear actually. It is not that easy to understand this idea of prana. But in short, if we try to explain that the matter does not have the power to transform itself into anything. Therefore, the power, the motion, the force which acts on the matter and then helps it to transform, that force is called prana. So they say prana and akasha, energy and akasha is matter. And it was Swami Vivekananda, you know, who met Nikola Tesla, that famous scientist, that Swamiji wanted to explain to him that this idea of prana and akasha, it can be proved that they both are same. You can convert energy into matter, matter into energy. Nikola Tesla appreciated this idea long before Einstein discovered his theory, this equation E equal to mc squared. Long before that, Swamiji spoke with Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla assured him that he would be taking up this experimentation, but I believe he could not do this. Therefore, Swamiji left it there. But he believed that it would be possible to prove that energy and matter, they can be interchangeable. So here the idea of prana is like something like energy which is acting on matter to create and recreate. This is the idea Swamiji says. But within our body, which is the immediate thing with which we can work, I cannot work with your body, but I can work with my body. And this is very much well within my reach and within my capacity. Therefore, so he stresses that point and how this prana is working through breath. So breath is very, very, very gross manifestation of this prana. But still subtle manifestation is thought. Thought is there. It is happening in the mind, coming up and going down. So when there is a mind, and it is always occupied with thoughts. So these thoughts are an expression of prana, and these thoughts can influence the gross matter, even can influence our body. Suppose some very palatable food in front of us, even though we have no physical touch of that food to our tongue, but we see that our tongue starts watering. Similarly, if we think of any part of our body, we will see that we will be able to activate. He speaks of instinct. He speaks of our conscious effort. So that we can, with the help of our thoughts, we can activate these different parts of our body. Similarly, we can control the motions of the lungs so that it breathes properly. As we were discussing, that breathing helps a lot to keep, to bring or to attain a good posture, to master a good posture. Breathing helps a lot. Pranayama means nothing but controlling this prana with the help of the breathing, with the help of breathing, with the help of taking air inside and through. Not that when the air goes inside the lungs get inflated. No, the thing is that the prana energy inflates the lungs and then air goes in. This is the mechanical way of breathing in and breathing out. So this prana has to be controlled, and that is the idea of pranayama. And Swamiji therefore gives stress on the idea of concentration. So to bring this prana under our control, we have to concentrate on it. And if we are not able to concentrate on it as it is in its original form, which is difficult to imagine even, therefore we can start with its manifestation, which is called thoughts. We can think, I think that I will breathe in counting, suppose 20. So that thought helps me, and I go on concentrating on that I count really 20, and then I breathe in along that, together with this number. So this way, he is telling us that the yoga will help us to concentrate and concentrate on one point. So that this one-pointed concentration will help us to unravel the mystery of the mind and the prana working behind the mind. This is, in short, the idea which he tried to convey through these few chapters. Now, you must have got many occasions to ask questions. Now, I stop and you can just ask some questions if you want.
One more, Swamiji, one more question. So in the process of the self-realization or Atma Jnana, does every aspect of the Prarabdha Karma has to be worked out, or is it possible to just drop them down once for all, and then, because there are some people, some saints who spontaneously attain to samadhis without even having done any prior hatha or asanas, or they just go into samadhi. And there are many devotees who just completely just give themselves to these saints, and in the moment they are completely transformed. But there are also other set of people who are worked on hatha yoga for 20-25 years. They are very sincere, honest in their efforts, but they can clearly feel that the karmic patterns are still operating, and is it possible to just uh, drop them all once for all, or is it that it has to be worked out depending on how much accumulation has happened in an individual?
Yeah, this is a very good question, but there is a mix-up in this. One is that Hatha Yoga is meant only for the physical body. And whole yoga has Hatha Yoga one part of it, which is not the end, but it is a means. So we have to take Hatha Yoga as a means, and when you go through the books, that slowly you'll be your ideas will be clear about the Hatha Yoga and its relation to the main yoga which is nothing but releasing oneself from the bondage. Now the question of karma. There are three types of people. One is some incarnations who come down, avatara, because they come down, avataranam, from that the idea of avatar, the word avatar has come. So those who come down, for them there is no idea of past karma, because they are not bound by karma, but the karmas work under them. You know, there is a nice episode in the life of Swami Yatiswaranandaji. One of his disciples was an astrologer or a palmist. He came to him and said, Swamiji, I want to read your palm. Then Yatiswaranandaji asked, what do you want to know from that? He said, no, I will try to see how many stars and planets are influencing your life. That means then he can tell of some stones or some jewels that Jatiswaranandaji can hold on his body so that he is free from the influences of these stars and planets. Then Yatiswaranandi smiled and said, you see, I am under the protection of someone at whose bidding these stars and planets work. So I don't need anything to do with the stars and planets. They will be taken care of by that power. So this is the idea. When avatar comes, they just come down. They do not have their own karma to take care of. That's what Sri Krishna is saying, that in these three worlds, I do not have anything to have any work to do, but still I go on doing work incessantly. Otherwise, I will be the cause of for the destruction of my own creation. That is the idea. So these avatars cannot be taken into consideration when we are talking of the law of karma. And second thing, there are people who, without doing something, they attain to samadhi at their will. That is because we don't know their past. This question has been dealt with in the Vedanta literature, even the basic book, which is known as Vedanta Sara. There this question has been raised and this has been answered. That Sri Ramakrishna was very clear about this, and his story is very nice. He says, a person following the instructions in Tantra. So he collected a dead body and wanted to do Shava sadhana, Shava. So he collected the dead body and he sat on that and started meditating on Mother Kali. And since it was in the forest, a tiger came and caught hold of that fellow and took him away. But on that particular big tree, a man was perching himself there to get rid of the tiger attacks, etc. And when it will be daytime, he would come down and go away. But he saw that this man was carried away by the tiger and the dead body is there. So he came down and sat on the dead body and started praying to Mother Kali. And Mother appeared before him, said, what do you want? I am here to grant your prayer. Then he asked the first question, Mother, this is so much bewildering to see that the person, the man who did so much, took so much trouble and gathered so many items and gathered this dead body. And now when he sat on the body, he has been taken away by the tiger. Now I have not done anything. But when I sit down here and you appear before, why is it so? Then Mother said, you do not know that you have done so many things in your past births. That's what Sri Krishna is telling to Arjuna, that bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam vedha parantapa. You and I, both of us, have undergone many births, but you do not know them. I know them all. This is the difference. So we have done things in the past. We generally can't see that. That is why we wonder why this man is so lucky, why I am not that lucky. No, if we don't consider rebirth, then the Hindu scriptures have nothing to say to us. That is one of the points Shankaracharya highlights, that if you do not believe in rebirth, then don't read what Shankaracharya writes as commentary. Don't read the Hindu scriptures. So, rebirth explains that. And the third thing is that happens to the majority of us, because we are not that gifted perhaps, we have not perhaps crossed so many births, and we are not avatars, we are not incarnations. Therefore, we have to go through the very hard way and we have to work out our own karmas. So we cannot drop it off that way. But Yoga Sutra teaches us a process which helps us to drop our past karmas. And that will be discussed in the main book. But the idea in short is that if you have some seeds collected, sanchita karma, you have some samskaras as seeds there inside you, inside us, and they are waiting for their opportunity to manifest, to come out and to germinate and to grow bigger and bigger. But if we do not sow them, we keep them in stock only years after years. Slowly, slowly, they will lose their power of germination. And after that, if we put them in the soil, they will not germinate because they have lost their potential to germinate. Or another very easy way is if we take out all those seeds from our stock and fry them, that is called tapas, tapa, fry them in heat, and then they will lose their germination capacity immediately, and then we can drop them out. But what is needed? We need to fry them. We need heat, tapas, austerities. So tapas means it creates a struggle between our natural tendencies and what we think we should do. Therefore, natural tendencies will come in the way, and there will be a big fight. Spiritual life is nothing but a fight between these two. And when we continue to fight this way, that is what is called tapas. And that helps us to kill the germination potential of our past samskaras. So this is the easiest way Yoga Sutra teaches us that we can get rid of our karmas easily. And therefore it is easy to drop our karmas and then start anew. Yes.
Ram Swamiji, my name is Advait. I had a question about the explanation that you just gave about the Purusha. Now, since the Purusha is not going to influence the decision making in any way, why is it necessary to study it in the first place? Like, why do we need to understand it? It would be better to understand the ego, right? Because it is going to affect the way we think.
That is good idea. The thing is that if ego is the reality, then it is good to understand ego and it will be a fruitful effort. But ego has no reality actually. It is a relative reality. It is now there but tomorrow it will not be there. The other day I was looking at one nice picture. They showed that it came that earth rising. So those people who went out of the bounds of the earth could see that the earth is rising. So as long as we are on the earth, we move with the earth, and this movement is superimposed on sun which has no movement. You know, this is the idea of relativity. So this happens based on time. Time-bound things are relative. When the world started at a particular time, actually speaking, time itself started at that point of time. That is what the Vedanta says. So relative things are not absolute. So if we study the ego, it's well and good. That is the idea of the materialists. We go on studying matter. But matter actually it leads to multiplicity. Matter breaks and breaks and breaks, and there is no end to it. There is no end to studying matter. So the question is, are you satisfied with this? Here sometimes some students come and they say that they believe that they are sinners or they are sufferers. Actually speaking, if our real nature is suffering, then we would not like to get rid of it. Similarly, if our real nature is ego, then we would not like to get rid of our ego. But the ego is a problematic thing everyone knows. Even modern science, modern psychology also talks of this, that we have to tame the ego, we have to take care of the ego so that we purify it. Or help it to ripen. So now we don't want to bother about the reality behind the ego, the purusha or the witness self. We don't want to bother, but we have to bother because it is our real nature. And if we say no, that is not our real nature, then we have to explain what is our real nature. And if we explain that your real nature is different from my real nature, then you give rise to a billion, say 7 billions of egos and 7 billions of infinities, realities. That is actually absurd. So studying the ego helps us to get rid of the ego. That is the idea. Studying darkness helps us to get rid of darkness. If you want to study darkness, then what do you want to do? You have to take the help of light. And the light, as soon as you take the help of light, the darkness vanishes. So ego actually is a kind of a relative experience, but it is not real experience. The experience that we see, that the sun is rising in the east and setting in the west, it is a relative experience. It happens in spite of our knowledge that the sun does not move, in spite of our knowledge. But still, it is a fact we see, we cannot deny. And if you say seeing is believing, then believe in this, that the sun is moving. We don't believe that, even though we see it. So even though we know that there is ego, but we don't believe that it is real. That is the idea of the modern psychology also. And that is how they try to treat mental patients. This way, if they take ego to be real, then there will be no need to get rid of it, because it is real. You cannot get rid of it. It will always remain. So, but still there are a lot of other explanations, convincing explanations to prove that this Purusha is there. Just to give a simple example, that 7 billion people may say that they do not know who Baneshananda is, or they may say that we don't know that this person exists. That does not disprove my existence. That does not deny my right to exist, because I exist on my own right. This existence is there with me, and this is the reality about me. My body comes and goes. Every 8 years we have a new body, you know. Every 8 years all the cells in the body, almost all the cells in the body are new. Therefore, who is that real Baneshananda? I came to Germany 10 years ago, and within 8 years all my cells have changed. They have become German cells. And therefore there is a law perhaps in all countries, that if you stay in a country for more than 8 years, you grow the right to get the citizenship of that country, because you breathe the air of Germany, you eat the food of Germany, all your cells are now German. There is no Indian cell left in my body. So these are all changing realities. They are not real actually. So there must be some unchanging reality which can observe this. In short, this is the idea.
Swamiji, I have a question. So,
Yes.
when you said the Purusha is the ultimate reality, and Purusha is the non-changing and it is same in every person, then why does the Purusha take a birth at all? Why should it take a human body? Uh, yeah. So, and then why do karmas matter, and but they do not influence the Purusha? So why does the Purusha take the body first?
Thing is that this, if you follow some nice talks by Richard Dawkins, he just immediately dismisses the idea of a question of why. Why is an absurd question. He says it is a foolish question. Who, why, what, these questions are not to be taken into consideration. But the consideration is, are you an individual. Yes. What is your problem? These are my problems. Do you want to get rid of this problem? Yes. Now analyze the problems and see that whether these problems are permanent or eternal. Like that, it is very, very practical, this way to go. Otherwise, theories do not solve the problem that way. We have a lot of theories, convincing theories, people to follow the paths and achieve successes. But those things, those theories, they do not help us. First thing, I have to see where I stand. Somebody started from somewhere, from suppose Sweden, and it does not mean that I have to go to Sweden and start from there. From here itself, how can I start? Then you buy a ticket to go to Sweden. Then from there you can start. But you are already here, therefore you cannot buy a ticket from Sweden to USA. You have to buy a ticket from here to Sweden first. So it is like that. We have to start asking this question, if I am an individual, and if I have some problem, I want to get rid of. If I have some aspirations, if I have some desires. If I have some desires, okay, I want to throw my hands, throw my fist everywhere. Then Churchill has said, yeah, you have the freedom to throw your fist everywhere, but your freedom ends where my nose begins. You have freedom, it is not absolute freedom, but you should not throw your fist in such a manner that it should hit my nose. So like that. Therefore, we may think in many fantastic ways, but it should be very practical, and then we see that many things need to be disciplined for us. So why we are here, this question is a question the biologists, they talk about why this, how the biological body actually evolved, and we have come to the human stage. Why should it be here? This is not a question, but it has evolved. It started its journey at some point of time. We cannot just say surely that it has started its journey on such and such date. But thing is that we believe that it has a beginning. And as soon as we believe that it has a beginning, we believe that it should have an end. And we are speaking of this physical body, the changes of matter. So this why question is a little bit difficult question in the sense, then we should ask why our parents were there. Then they should ask why their parents were there. In logic, they call it regressus ad infinitum. You go on backing, and then it goes to the infinite, because there is no answer to this. Why it happens, because we are bound by time. If I want to know how my parents were born, we can't know this, because we are the after effect. We are barred by time. We are born of them, so we cannot know how they were born. But my birth proves that they had their birth also. Therefore, I do not ask this question that why I am here, why should we be born, but we are born. And this is why relativity is there. Can you answer this question? Why should we see that the sun is moving and sun is rising and setting? We see, in spite of our knowledge that the sun is not moving, still we see. In spite of knowledge, our knowledge that the trees do not move, but when we are in a running train, we see that they are not only moving, they are running to the opposite direction. These are practical things. So this defies our common sense. This defies our experience. What experience? Relative experience. So we say that we are sitting on the running train. That is relative to the running earth. The train is moving, but the earth is also moving. So one is related to the other. And there are further relative things. So we must find out a ground which is not moving. Otherwise, no movements can be recorded that way. And then it leads to regressus ad infinitum. You say that something is more static, therefore it can record the movement of which is less static. Then something is still more and more static, which records the movement of which is more static. And this has no end to this. Therefore, we have to find out something which is static. This is the idea. So, when we are here, we have to try to find out what is our problem and is there a solution. That is why Buddha speaks of the sufferings. He does not say that suffering is permanent. It is our nature. He says there is suffering and there is a way to, there is a cessation of suffering, and there is a cause of suffering and there is a way out of suffering. The Chaturarya Satya. There is suffering, there is a cause of suffering, and there is cessation of suffering, and there is a way out of this suffering. So the way is important. All the religions, even science also, if we face some problem, then science tries to solve that, help us to solve that. Similarly, if we are facing some basic problem, existential problem, then religion helps us to assure us that we are not, with the fall of the body, we are not going to be extinct. So these are the problems we bring to different studies, and they give their answer how to get out of the problems. That is the most practical aspect of studies.
Swamiji, one more question. So we have heard that dreams can be a big way of working out one's karma, because some of the unfulfilled desires and tendencies can seek expression through dreams. But there also seems to be one more variety of dreams where it can give access to some other dimension, or let us say even past masters, or even saints who can who we do not know whether it is still a part of the desire which has gone unmanifested in some way and trying to seek expression through these masters, or is there something deeply real to these dreams where you see past masters and repeatedly over and over again, but it is not quite clear as to what one should be doing. So that is one question. Yeah.
This is one question, but it is a big question. This is a big question. Now, thing is that there are books on dreams, but thing we do not see that dream outside ourselves. The dreams happen within ourselves. This is one fact about dream we should know. Therefore, whatever is happening within ourselves, we are responsible for that. Therefore, our past should be responsible for this, or our present should be responsible for this. It is the waking man who has gone into dream. Second thing is that the same dream cannot be seen second time. That is the psychology. You cannot see the same dream second time. This is psychology. And third thing, yes, we hear about the same dream appearing again and again, but we hear about these dreams which are connected with some kind of divine influence. Someone is seeing that God is coming to that person and telling, do this, do this. Our Aravinda, Rishi Aravinda saw Sri Ramakrishna coming to him, telling him 3 times, 3 different occasions in the dream, telling him, you build a temple, build a temple, build a temple. So these things have got some connection with some divinity. I believe they are true, but modern psychology says that one cannot see the same dream second time. So some basic facts about dream we have to take into consideration, but the main fact is it happens within us. Therefore, we are responsible for this. Therefore, our karmas are responsible for this. Now, this is a big subject, and Vedanta deals with it in a very masterly fashion and in a very structured fashion, which is one of the main subjects in the Mandukya Upanishad. And this needs time. I think it would need me. I would need about at least 45 minutes to deal with it. Therefore, I will keep this question postponed till next time we meet, or meet through Hangouts or meet physically. Okay?
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yes.
Srikantan, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay. So in the chain of that goes from the objects to Purusha, I understood the role of sense organ in the brain and the center corresponding to the organ in the brain and the role of Buddhi and Ahankara, but I did not get the role of Manas, mind. So what is mind's role in the chain?
Mind is going back and forth. Mind is taking the information which we get as impulses, the input. So mind takes that information to buddhi, intellect, and again Swamiji explains there that it brings the information of the reaction to the motor organs, then the body reacts.
Okay, yes, Maharaj.
So
Maharaj,
you have to remember these items. Number one, there are 6 items involved in this. 6. So easy to remember numbers. One is the outside objects. Second one,
the Karana instruments.
Instruments. But I have 2 more instruments. I have specs. They are called upakarana, subsidiary instruments. Okay.
Okay.
So this has also been taken care of. So upakaranas do not form part of the do not form a separate, make a separate karana or instrument. Second is instrument, suppose the eyes, sense organs, senses. And third,
brain center corresponding to the instruments.
Yeah. And fourth
is the mind, manas.
Fifth,
buddhi, intellect.
Buddhi, so there are 2 types of buddhis. Who are they?
I don't know, Maharaj.
Subuddhi and Kubuddhi.
Okay.
Subuddhi means right intellect and Kubuddhi means wrong intellect, bad intellect. We get 2 types of information. One is good, another is bad. But the bad intellect has the power to convert good information into bad information. So that is how the discrimination means that we have to choose the better one over the good one or good one over the bad one. This is called discrimination. Now, then the intellect. Then next one, sixth one. Sixth
is ego or ahankara, and the 7th one is Purusha.
So 7th, we have to remember 7 is a very, very special number in Hindu philosophy. There are 7 bhumis in our spiritual path. There are 7 chakras. They all work at this point, at the point of 6. Our raising of the Kundalini also is meant for the 6. Our changing the levels of our consciousness also is meant for the 6 levels of consciousness. That is according to Vedanta. Swami Yatiswaranandaji used to say, what is the level of your consciousness? This is a very, very practical thing. Suppose I have started meditating, closed my eyes, closed my ears also suppose. Then I have started meditating. Now I have to know what is the level of my consciousness. Now while meditating, it is natural that our mind will move from one place to another. So we know that Sri Ramakrishna is saying, when I was meditating, I saw that my mind has gone to Rasik's house. Now see, we have got a big sanction by Sri Ramakrishna. If the mind of a Sri Ramakrishna can move during meditation, go to the house of Rasik, then it is no problem that when we are meditating, our mind goes to the supermarket. This is not a problem. We got a sanction. Sri Ramakrishna says that his mind also moved. But the problem is Sri Ramakrishna's mind went to Rasik's house because he was the savior, to save Rasik. And our mind goes to supermarket to save whom? That question we have to ask. So, but the most practical part of it, that when I see that my mind has gone to a church, to a temple, to a good friend, to a good idea, to a good discussion, then I know that is the level of my consciousness. And when I see that my mind has deviated from meditation, it has gone to supermarket or somewhere, that is the level of consciousness. This is true. And then we discover ourselves, where we are. Yes.
Thank you, Maharaj. Maharaj, I have one more question, but I'm not sure if we will have time at this point. So, while studying Raja Yoga, we see this interplay between Sankhya and Yoga philosophies. So, my question is how Sankhya, Yoga, and Vedanta philosophies relate to each other. What are the common points? What are the differences, and so on?
Swamiji himself has discussed this point. He has told, I will just read out from that book where he has said this, that he says that there are two differences between Sankhya philosophy and Yoga philosophy.
Yes.
Sankhya Yoga, these two names go together. So two differences, I read out from that portion. The two most important differences are, first, that Patanjali admits a personal God in the form of a first teacher, while the only God the Sankhyas admit is a nearly perfected being, temporarily in charge of a cycle of creation. Second, the yogis hold the mind to be equally all-pervading with the soul or Purusha, and the Sankhyas do not. So, these are the main differences between Sankhya and Yoga. And differences between Sankhya and Yoga and Vedanta is that if we take Sankhya Yoga as one set of philosophies, then the main difference is that they believe in numerous souls eternally existing. And Vedanta, particularly non-dual Vedanta, says that no, there is only one reality. Therefore, no other thing has the right to exist eternally. That is the idea. So where are the points of their agreement? That will take some time. So today we won't discuss that. So all right then.
Okay.
Okay, Ram.
Yeah.
then we can call it a day. Here we can call it a night. At your place, you can call it a day.
Yes, Maharaj. So we have vacation after this, Maharaj. So sometime around January, February, we'll be continuing Raja Yoga.
Yes.
So maybe after 3, 4 more chapters, we can have one more hangout
Yes.
around February.
Okay. Okay. You can just let me know.
I'll send you the email.
Yeah. You can send me an email, and then what happened to Puja today?
Pranam Maharaj, I'm here.
Namaste, but you did not ask any question, and I forgot to ask you a question.
There were many good questions, Maharaj, today.
Well, nice to see you all. Thank you.
Pranam Maharaj.
Thank you, Swami.
Pranam Maharaj.
Thank you.
Namaste. Bye.
Hey, Sivateja.
Yeah. So I think we should first turn this off. Turn off